Hi, it's Bobby, and here's our Cornucopia sugar cookie not covered. Here's one covered in fondant, and I've already airbrushed it and put in the texture. I'm going to show you how I got here. So let's begin. And normally I don't show you the raw dough, but I wanted to share with you that I decided I wanted to do something with a Cornucopia shaped sugar cookie and realized I didn't have a Cornucopia cutter. So I'm going to do it myself and make it from a witch's hat and a circle cutter, and it will come out. Now keep in mind this hasn't been decorated, looking like a Cornucopia. So the first thing you want to do is cut your witch's hat. And then, because you want to kind of keep it as attached as possible, you're going to come in and just come down like this. You don't want to cut too much into that hat, that way you don't have a ton of work to do later. Now normally I would cut out a few of these, but since we're just showing this right now, I'm going to take this away. And when I'm making sugar cookies, I will put if you're wondering where I'm doing with all this extra dough so it stays cool, I will put the cellophane that my sugar cookie was wrapped in, I will put that laying on an ice pack. And that keeps my dough cold so that if I have some leftover dough, I can go ahead and keep rolling and using it and not have to worry about it getting too warm. So that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, so we're moving it over. Now it doesn't quite look like, I don't want anything to happen to this. I'm going to put a little flour on here. It doesn't quite look like our Cornucopia just yet. Let me move this out of the way. It kind of looks like one of those old-fashioned dunce hats that they would make kids wear when they weren't behaving. It also could be an elf's hat for Christmas, and I plan on doing that later. So I'm going to take out the point and kind of give this a nice round edge. I'm going to come in with my spatula and just kind of angle my Cornucopia so they don't have any hard edges. Just come in here, and then I'm just going to turn it as much as the dough will allow me to do. I'm not too worried about this little line here because that'll bake in. But there's my Cornucopia. So I have a piece of mocha and cinnamon fondant mix. I wanted this type of color, this little bit darker than ivory color. And because I made the Cornucopia, if you remember, out of a witch's hat in a circle, rather than trying to make it fit and work on the cookie, it is easier for me to just lay the cookie on top and just gently touch it. You don't want to accidentally crack your cookie, and go around your cookie and cut out a frame of your cookie. You could do exactly how we made the sugar cookie, but it would be so much more work than this. This is 10 times faster. And while I was looking at the Cornucopia, I realized that, Cornucopias have texture. It's almost a basket weave, but it isn't a basket weave. So I thought, well, should I go over it with royal icing and basket weave the royal icing? Should I basket weave the fondant? And I didn't like any of those looks. And I remembered that I had this chocolate mold, this plastic chocolate mold that I had gotten for, I want to make sure I'm going to go the right way, that I had gotten for making chocolate cornucopias. I think it was maybe, I'm putting the wrong way, about $2. But if you don't have one of these, I have done some of them with the bubble wrap that comes in packaging, and you can get those at Target. You actually could probably get the cornucopia at Target too, the little cornucopia molds, especially at this time of year. And all you want to do is put your fondant in there. Try not to smush it too much because you don't want to lose or stretch out what you've done. And you're just going to feel for the ridges so that you can get a nice groove in your cornucopia. So you're picking up the pattern that's in this. But like I said, if you don't have this, you could lay it on bubble wrap for a little while. That works. You could use, I think, any type of a brick type of plastic pattern that you have. You just want something that has that back and forth pattern. Or you could basket weave it, you know, run your fondant over the top and under the bottom type of thing. This just, I had it and it worked out well. You can get these at your hobby stores. In fact, I think I saw one at Joann's the other day. Now, I will tell you, for doing chocolate, I have another one that works a little bit better for chocolate because the way the chocolate is, it's hard to get it out from here. But it is a dual tool, so at least you're not just buying it to make cornucopias out of fondant. So now we're going to take it out. And you can cornstarch in here lightly if you want to. I noticed that it pretty much came out fairly easily, so I didn't have to worry about it. I've got my texture. And I know I'm too big, so I'm going to go, before I put the piping gel on, I'm going to just go around without taking out the texture that I put in. And just lightly get this off and keep it nice and smooth. And kind of clean up my edges in here. So you're using your cookie as your template at the same time. And I get a little bit quiet, so please forgive me when I'm trying to concentrate on making sure I've got this on here correctly. And I don't have any stray little hairs of fondant going on. And since I'm using the wheel, I'm not even running the risk of hurting my cookie. Nor have I taken out any of my pattern that I just put in my fondant. So it's a fairly easy project when you think about it. It's one that you could do with the kids. Make place cards for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to remove this for just a second to the side. And I can see that there's a couple places where I still need to clean up a little bit. Make it look nice and finished. I'm going to take my piping gel and my brush that I have wrapped in a cloth, a damp cloth, so that it doesn't get sticky on me or dry out on me and I can't use the bristles anymore. And I'm just going to lightly coat my sugar cookie in the piping gel. And I think I've shown you this before. You can use alcohol if you want. You can use apricot jam. Piping gel is sitting here, so that's what I'm going to use. It's tasteless, it's odorless, it works out very well. You don't want to go crazy with it. And you can see my hands are yellow. I had a little accident with my yellow color for my airbrush. It spilled on me, so be careful when you're working with your colors. I'm going to gently put it on. Now, the trickiest part is this, and it's not even that tricky. You do not want to come in and smooth this down with the smoother. You want to make sure that you just kind of smooth the edges, that you attach the edges. I was a little bit worried, so I test piloted the cookie that I showed you, which was done earlier, and that fondant is on there. It's not coming off. So it will be fine, even though I didn't take a smoothing tool to it. So now I'm going to show you how to airbrush it. Okay, so we're going to airbrush. What do we need? We need an airbrush. I just use, I don't know if you can see it or not, so I'll bring it over by you. I bought one of these waffle things, they're for the shelves. And I put my airbrush on it so that it doesn't slide and fall off my counter, because the airbrush will move because of the motors. So that's how I keep my airbrush safe. I need a cup of cool boiled water to clean out my airbrush. And I would normally tell you, if you have it, to use any of the ivory colors, Americolor, Chef Rubber, whatever airbrush colors you have. I realized too late that I didn't have ivory, so I'm going to make a light chocolate color by mixing, believe it or not, pink, yellow, and chocolate brown. I'm going to do a layering effect. So I'm actually going to start with just yellow in my airbrush, and I like to use a little eyedropper when I'm mixing the colors. But since right now we're just going to do a little bit of the yellow, so I'm going to start with a little bit of yellow and add just not even a whole drop, I'm hoping. I can stop it in time. Okay. I'm going to turn this on. I like to put it on medium. My airbrush works by pulling. As you can see, nothing's coming out. Nothing, just air. Lots of air. You pull back and pressure. I have another airbrush where it works a little bit different, but this one, which is very user-friendly, you just pull back and as much pressure as fast as you're going to come out. I always like to test my color when I'm mixing on the paper towel to see if it's going to be too dark. And that is too dark. That's way too dark. So I'm going to add a little bit more of this yellow. See if that cures it. And we're still pretty dark. So rather than waste this color, I'm going to dump it into my palette. I've got enough of the brown in here that when I add the yellow, I should come up with the color that I want to start the first layer. And I say should because I just told you that it would be okay with the color that I chose. So we're going to test it again. Get some of that brown out because it's still there. See if we get any lighter. Yes, we're getting much lighter. So we're going to just take our airbrush and we're going to start with light, even pressure. And we're going to go back and forth on the airbrush, and we're going to not stop so that we get dark patches. Right now we're just trying to add some color on here to give the Cornucopia the look that a Cornucopia has. Now I looked at a plethora actually, of Cornucopias, and they all were different colors. Some of them were dark wicker colors, some of them were very dark brown, some of them were almost a mahogany, some of them were lighter. I like the lighter one, but it really is a personal choice. As you can see, while I'm airbrushing, the texture is starting to just pop right on through. You can actually see all that texture that I put in. Now this color is a little bit lighter than I'm wanting to end up with, but it's great for the first layer. So you're just going to go through, and the neat thing about airbrushing is that it will dry really fast. If you don't have an airbrush, you could use dust, you could use cocoa powder if you wanted to. Pretty much you could do anything you wanted. This is just faster, it's a little bit more even. I can get 12 of them done really fast. And always put a paper towel down because the airbrush color is going to go everywhere. Alright, so we're pretty well coated with the yellow. As you can see, there's some lighter yellows where the brown was not in there anymore. Normally, you would clean this out, but because I'm going to use it again, I'm just going to empty it in my, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to empty it in there. I'm going to go back to this brown color that I made, which I think might still be too dark, and if it is, we'll just add some other color to it. And I'm going to get a little bit of that lighter, okay, so that's the color I want, more of a toasted color almost. And we're just going to start on the edges, and if you think of shadowing the edges of your Cornucopia or whatever you're airbrushing is going to be your darker point. Because the lighter point is going to be in the inside because that's how light works. So we're going to try and copy that a little bit. If you have petal dusted before or painted before, it's all the same concept as far as using your shadowing and your colors. And if all you have are, the primary colors and your secondary colors, you can make any color you want. It's just playing with it. And like I said, try it on a paper towel. And then you might want to try it on a piece of your fondant. Because I know, like, if I'm working with leaves or something, it's green, so it's going to come out green. So I'm going to finish coloring this. It'll look just like the cornucopia you saw. And the next time I see you, we'll be decorating it.